Well, we'll make a start, I think. So hi, welcome to you all. Welcome to our open day for the undergraduate courses we teach in the Department of Computer Science at UCL. I'll be your host today. My name's Jo Stiles and I'm the Teaching and Learning Manager in the department. So we offer 4 undergraduate programs as part of our offering. And these are our BSc in Computer Science, so that's a 3-year program. We have a 4-year version of that. That's our MEng Computer Science. We have an MEng in Computer Science and Mathematics, so that's jointly taught with the Department of Maths and us. And we also have an MEng in Robotics and AI, which is a relatively new program for us. So those are what you are here to learn more about today. We have a panel of staff and our current students for you to hear from and to ask questions. They include our head of department, our course directors, who are academics responsible for each specific program. We have students on those courses, and we also have administrative staff from our department team and from our central admissions team as well. So I'd like to just share with you our housekeeping rules for this session. So you're all muted and without cameras. Please put your questions into the Q&A. So you should be able to see the box at the bottom of your screen. We'll either answer those in the text format using that Q&A function, or we'll ask them live. And we're recording our sessions today, and we'll post those on our YouTube channel for the department. So you'll be able to go back and revisit anything you want to hear again. So now I'm going to hand over to Professor Daniel Alexander, our head of department.
Thank you, Jo, and welcome everyone to this virtual away day. Let me first say that this is an amazing year to be joining UCL. It's actually our 200th anniversary in 2026, and so if you were to join the academic cohort 25-26, you would be the 200th cohort of students that UCL have seen, and all sorts of nice celebrations are going to be occurring throughout the year next year that would tell you all about the activities and the history of UCL. So yeah, great time to be joining us. And of course, computer science is the best topic that you could be studying as well. So you've come to the right open day. I hope you've taken the time to watch some of the videos that we prepared beforehand, both on computer science itself, our department, and the various programs that we're talking about. Don't worry if you haven't, there'll be links to those towards the end. But really, this session is about building on the background that we've conveyed within those videos. So the schedule today, we're going to keep the talking fairly minimal, and really the focus of today is a Q&A session enabling you to ask us questions about the programs and building on the stuff that we talk about in those videos. We will hear a little bit about student support first of all, and then the admissions process after that. But after a couple of short presentations on those things, we'll be really over to you to ask questions, and we will answer as best we can. And we'll finish with just a little bit of information on next steps, future events, and other ways that you can get in touch and find more information. So with that, I think I will hand over to Claire, who's going to talk about student support. Over to you, Claire.
Thanks, Danny. So my name's Claire Parkin, and I am the Senior Teaching and Learning Administrator for undergraduate programs here in Computer Science. And I'm just going to take a few minutes to talk about student wellbeing at UCL. So there's a wealth of support available to help you settle into your studies in your first year, to develop your programming skills, and to support your health and well-being. That support remains available throughout all of your studies and as you progress through your program. The whole of the first week of term 1 in year 1 is Welcome Week, which takes place at the end of September. You'll be invited to introductions to your degree program, meet key academic staff, take part in social events with your fellow students, and hear everything you need to know about getting started. In computer science, your fellow students in later years of your course also help to deliver some of the sessions in your Welcome Week. All year 1 students are supported by a student advisor. This is a member of staff whose job is to be available for you to reach out to and meet with, and who can provide you with one-to-one support to discuss any worries you have and can support you through managing your mental health and well-being as you get settled into your studies. Your student advisor will hold pre-arrival sessions and workshops to help you meet your fellow students, and will proactively reach out to you directly once per term to see how you are doing and offer support if it's needed. You can ask them any questions you have, even if they are not related to your degree programme, and they will help you to find the answer. All Year 1 students are allocated a transition mentor. This is a fellow computer science student in years 2, 3 or 4, and their role is to help you to settle into university life in London. They will arrange to meet with you and a group of other Year 1 students on a regular basis, and you can learn from their experiences as a student at UCL. Here in computer science, we are very proud that our students support each other to improve their programming skills. When you enroll in Year 1, you will be contacted by a Year 2, 3 or 4 student who will hold regular tutorials to help you improve your programming skills as you work on your coursework assessments throughout Year 1. All students will also have a personal tutor allocated to them, stays with them throughout their degree programme. They are an academic member of staff who will reach out to you once per teaching term to check on how you are doing. They will offer to meet you regularly to discuss your academic progress, and you can ask them any questions you have about your studies or any other questions you have about university life. At the end of your degree, your personal tutor will also provide you with an academic reference. UCL has a dedicated student support and wellbeing team made up of staff who are specially trained to support students. This team can support students with counselling, with disability, with mental health support, and can also work with other organisations to support a student where appropriate. All staff at UCL can tell student support and wellbeing if they have concern about a student, and this team will reach out to them. The team can also help to discuss your specific circumstances with the computer science department if any concerns you have may be impacting on your studies. The student support and wellbeing team also proactively promote better health and wellbeing through events during the academic year, such as meditation sessions and the opportunity to meet therapy dogs and lots more. In computer science, undergraduate degree programmes are supported by a team of staff who ensure that your time at UCL runs smoothly. They will make sure you are enrolled on the correct modules, process your assessments and marks, and answer any questions you have related to your student record. You can visit the administrative office to speak to a member of staff in person, send an email, attend a drop-in session, or arrange an alternative method that is more suitable for you. As part of your degree programme, you will complete assessments such as examinations and coursework that you work on over a few weeks and then submit for marking. We understand that students can be affected by unexpected circumstances that impact them taking part in assessments or completing them to the best that they can. When this happens, there are a couple of options available to you depending on your circumstances. And a dedicated panel of staff will consider whether your deadlines can be extended or your assessments moved to a later date. We also understand that students have accessibility requirements that are unique to them. This may be because of a disability or a long-term condition, neurodivergence, or something else. At UCL, students can work with student support and wellbeing staff to create a summary of reasonable adjustments that is shared with the computer science department to help ensure that we are implementing any adjustments you may need whilst you're carrying out your studies. This may be extra time to complete assessments, receiving study materials in advance, and having access to recordings of lectures. So that brings me to the end of my slides. Back to you, Jo.
Thank you, Claire. Now we're going to hear from Hannah in our admissions office, who's going to share more information about how to apply.
Hi everyone, my name's Hannah and I manage the engineering faculty for undergraduate admissions. The first thing really to start with is looking at the academic entry requirements for the programmes. They all have the same entry criteria, which is 2 A stars and an A with an A star in maths or further maths. It is worth noting, it has been brought up in other kind of open days and things, so long as you have either maths or further maths as the A star, your other 2 subjects can be anything and it won't you won't be more or less competitive with more relevant subjects, which you may think or other universities might have. We also only look at 3 A levels, so having 4 would also not be an advantage. In a sense, it's better to focus on the 3 A levels you're most interested in, including maths / further maths, and get good grades in those than have more A levels and kind of risk not doing quite as well. this year, and well, for the past couple of years, we introduced an admissions test into the assessment, purely because the vast number of applicants that apply within the computer science department, the UCAS application and kind of alone wasn't working. Everyone was getting exactly the same A levels, exactly the same grades. All of their personal statements were really good, and it was really hard to pick between everyone. We seem to get 4,000 to 5,000 applications for just under 230 places, so it's really competitive. These tests have been really useful, which is why we're kind of continuing with that this year. For the past couple of years, we did use a different test called the STAT, and this year a new test has been created. The same company that do the ESAT and the TMUA. I don't know if you've heard of those before, but they've recently become quite popular with other universities as well. And UCL is getting more programs this year using those, but computer science specifically is going to be doing theirs called the TARA. So it's an aptitude test rather than subject specific. The department wanted this because they already know that the students or the applicants that are applying to their programs are competent, very competent at maths, which is the only subject requirement really. And they're fully aware that a lot of schools and places where students learn don't have they don't have the option to learn computer science, further maths, all of these extra subjects. So having kind of a general aptitude test seemed like the most inclusive fit. This test is being used by a few other universities as well, and it will be required for all of the programs within computer science. So it means you can apply to kind of as many as you want really, and still use that same score that will apply to all of them. The last kind of little bit for me is the personal statement. So although when we kind of assess an application, it's mainly academic, so your A levels or equivalent, then your admissions test score. The final option that could be a kind of a deciding factor among who we kind of offer to is your personal statement. So this year, UCAS made it slightly easier for applicants to create a kind of really solid personal statement. And it seems less kind of overwhelming than just kind of an empty box of you just looking at it thinking, what am I going to put in that? It's now structured into a few questions that you can answer. So hopefully that's a little bit easier. But the main thing that I've always advised applicants when they attend open days is 4 kind of key points to include in their personal statements is interest in the subject, kind of communication in that why are you interested, what have you done to prove you are interested and to prove your passion, extracurricular activities and career aspirations. So to go into a little bit more detail, interest in the subject, you really need to be highlighting why you're passionate about the specific program you've applied to. I'm aware lots of universities have slightly different names for everything, but hopefully you'll be able to provide a detailed, as specific as you can response to why you're interested in that program, to really kind of shine and stand out when we look at that personal statement. The next little bit with communication is showing what you've done to show your passion for the subject. This is usually a book you've read, a lecture you've attended, a project you've undertaken, and the kind of key thing to note here is don't just list lots of things. Don't just list a book, just list kind of 6 books you've read and all these lectures that you've attended. Make sure you explain why that's important, why that would make you a good student, why that's made you more passionate about your chosen subject. And as well, if you can do these, if you can kind of read these texts and do these projects off your own back rather than through your school, that will also give you some little bonus points when it comes to personal statement kind of marking, because it shows that you're not just passively learning. It's not a kind of a passive passion, as it were. You've gone out of your way after school to look into these things. The third one, extracurricular. I think it's more important than I think maybe applicants are told from their schools, that the importance of adding a couple of lines or so in their personal statement about extracurricular activities, because they're often the bits that make you different to everyone else. We read a lot of personal statements, as I mentioned, the kind of sheer volume of applications we receive. We read every single one of those, and having something slightly different that you do and linking it to why that would make you a good student at UCL would be really, really good. One of the examples that I use quite often at open days is an applicant who worked at a pet shop for their work experience, and the pet shop was using paper-based receipts for everything, and they created a system for this shop to make their life easier and bring them online. Now, kind of as it stands, that you'd expect the kind of quote unquote better student personal statement would come from somebody who's had kind of solid IT experience or computer science based kind of experience. But in that instance, they've used the kind of opportunities they've had and applied it to their passion. And that is definitely, it's possible for anyone to show that they will make a good UCL student and stand for what we look for, teamwork, leadership skills, problem solving, kind of innovation. All of those things are far more important than just working in an IT firm, if that makes sense. The final little bit is career aspirations. These last couple, the extracurricular and career aspirations, should not form a huge part of your personal statement, but they shouldn't be ignored either. So even if you leave a couple of lines for each, 2 or 3, 1 or 2 even, at the bottom, that's kind of the amount that I'm kind of trying to get you to do. Like, it still needs to be mainly interest and kind of evidence that why you're passionate. But the career aspirations, if you can just say what you want to do with your degree, where you want to go, what kind of particular, I don't know, module you've seen online that you would like to explore further as a PhD, as a job. We're not going to hold you to it, but it's just nice to see that you've thought further, kind of a further plan and what you want to do. So yeah, that's the kind of main bits from me.
Thank you, Hannah. That was great. So now we're going to move to our Q&A. Sorry, I'm just having problems with the slides. We've got lots of questions, which we're going to delve straight into. So thank you for posting those. Keep them coming. The first one I'm going to ask our head of department and our students to have a go at. Danny, please could you share with us what makes UCL Computer Science stand out from the other computer science courses in the country and in London?
Yeah, thanks for the question, whoever wrote that one, and thanks for passing the tricky ones to me, Joe. I think what makes us stand out, among computer science department is actually what makes UCL stand out among universities, and it reflects back into the department itself. So UCL is, for one thing, it's the biggest campus university in the country, and it is a complete university in that it really covers all of the disciplines, the academic disciplines that you can think of. Pretty much any topic you can think of, there is some activity around that in UCL. From sort of niche art subjects to very specialized science subjects and medical areas and so on. And that gives the whole institution a unique flavor in that huge breadth of application and thinking, and that actually has a very profound influence on the department itself. So us as a computer science department we are also actually one of the biggest departments in the country. We're actually the biggest computer science department in England second biggest in the UK. And we have a very strong application focus, which is prompted by the fact that we have such a wealth of broad expertise on our doorsteps in the rest of the institution. So coming back to the question, I think the thing that is distinct about us as a department is just the breadth of areas that we touch on, the number of areas where we work with partners to apply computer science in industry, lots of different industry partners working in different areas, lots of other scientific areas, but even reaching out into areas like philosophy, languages, linguistics, lots in medicine. And just maybe one example of that is actually an external partner that we've recently set up a program with, which actually very heavily involves our students, is Chanel, the fashion company. And so not a particularly, it's not something that you'd expect immediately, I don't think, of a computer science department, but they come to us because we not only have depth of technical expertise, but also have a very strong understanding how to work with a very broad range of partners from different cultures.
Brilliant, thank you, Danny. I'm now going to invite our students to offer anything they might be able to add to that. Ibrahim, have you got some responses? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, but I feel like Adiz had a pretty cool project that he got to work with on his IXN thing. I don't know if you want to talk about Adiz or no.
Yeah, I think UCL is set apart by the IXN for sure. And I got a pretty lucky project. Everybody gets a project assigned to them. And the one I was assigned to was one I was quite passionate about. It was with Intel and the National Autistic Society. And you just gain a lot of experience that you otherwise wouldn't get working with an actual client, actual requirements, and a full tech stack. And I think it's invaluable.
Great, thank you. Danny, I'm going to ask you another tricky one. And again, I might offer our students a chance to follow up as well. So how good is the quality of teaching and support for students? I've heard that students are having to teach themselves quite a lot. This is reflected in the poor scores UCL received in the National Student Survey.
So, I think the teaching and support is excellent here at UCL. It's nothing unusual for a university course to expect students to do a strong element of self-learning. That in a way, that's what university is all about. There's a strong transition from school to any university, and that's actually the key to it. I think there will always be an expectation that you take a greater responsibility for your own learning than you might be used to at school. So that's nothing unusual, I don't think, as UCL or UCL Computer Science. We have had some challenges with the NSS scores recently. That is true. That is not the root of it, to my mind. I think there are really two things that have brought down our NSS scores. One of those has been about feedback on coursework and timeliness of that, and the other has been a sort of organization aspect and things being perceived as disorganized. I feel like we're very strongly on top of both of these things now. We've put a lot of effort into redesigning our course structures, getting on top of the organization, and that, of course, was part of the timely feedback issue. And we've certainly seen strong trends in recovering on those two aspects. And I'm confident that over the next few years, the NSS scores will begin to reflect that.
Thank you. Do our students have anything to add?
I mean, I can add one thing on top of that we, have created the whole student partnership committee. So with academics and students, which we meet 5 times a year, and we have student representatives for each of the years. And so this has been our way of really kind of looking at where any of the potential problems might come and kind of address them together and work on the actions together. And that's been working really, really well. And actually, because students are so trusting of us wanting to, you know, work together on making teaching great, that we are like #1 in our faculty for the number of students even like filling in the survey, and we are #4 in, you know, UCL. So we are definitely very keen on working together with students and with, you know, this generation, the next generation of, you know, constantly improving our teaching.
Thank you, Ivana. Can I invite somebody on the panel to talk to us a little bit more about the IXN? So there's a couple of really nice questions in the chat. So firstly, what opportunities and support does UCL have for placements and connections with industry? I'm not sure who's best placed to answer that. Ivana or Danny, maybe that's one of you.
Want to take that one, Ivana? I get you've probably been most closely involved.
Yeah, so IXN is a very kind of unique program that I'm part of, and it's led by Professor Dean Mohammed Ali. It's been going on for a few years. So we as a department created that program. And it's really special because it basically connects our department with a range of different companies and on working on kind of joint projects. And the companies that are involved in working with us are kind of top tech companies, and not just tech, and they come from actually a range of different areas. So we have, from the tech side, we have Microsoft, we have Facebook, we have Amazon and Google. From the side of we have charities, so we work with Red Cross. We also have healthcare, so we work with hospitals, UCLH, Gosh Hospital, which are some of the best hospitals in the world. And we also, like Danny said, we work with Chanel. So Chanel is one of the companies. And so how does this work? So usually a company will like define a project and a problem that they would like to solve. And then we have a range of different kind of ways where students kind of tackle this. So one is at the second year, there's a whole course called Systems Engineering. And so the team of students from September is kind of assigned a company and a project that they work on. And together as a team, they create a system for the company. And they have 6 months to do that. And so this system is usually something, for example, one of the systems that we created, the teams created, it's called Motion Input. It's all about touchless computing. So, for example, instead of having to type things on your keyboard, these teams basically just showing things with their hands. And as they are showing things with their hands, the things happen on the screen. And so this is a very kind of new and amazing area, which was kind of innovated and created by our students working with Intel. And so this has been going on for a few years. And it's just one of the examples. Another way of working with the companies is through final year projects, summer projects, internships. So very often our students actually stay in touch after these projects with the companies, and then they get internships in the companies. As it's lots of different opportunities for developing many different things, from, you know, working in a team to working in companies. So it's really very unique for us. And we are very special as a department to be doing that, like in the UK.
Ivana, can you tell us a little bit more about how it's structured and how students get involved within?
So they will be involved. So this, what I mentioned, the systems engineering is a core module that all students have to do at year 2. So the students will naturally be involved with within the IXN through that module. That will be their first opportunity to be involved, and they will all naturally be like enrolled. They will be allocated the company. So the students will say what their preferences are in terms of what the theme they're interested in. Is it healthcare? Is it tech or finance? And then we will, based on their wishes, try to assign them to companies that are within that area. And then the second opportunity to be working in IXN will be at their 3rd year, through a final summer project. So we have summer projects with the companies, so you can just apply for that, and we have a whole process for application. And then the students actually offered placements and payments for these internships with these companies. And then the third is the final year project. So final year project for all of the students can be done either through IXN, so working with one of these companies, or if you prefer, you can also be paired up with an academic. And if you're interested in research, you can do your final year project with being placed in a research group of an academic from an area of your choosing. So, for example, one of my students' final year project this year has been working with me with UNESCO on a project that's to do with AI and sustainable AI. So trying to create tools to optimize AI so that AI can spends less energy. And so the student will travel with me to Paris on the 4th of June to present his tool at the kind of UNESCO headquarters. And they've had lots of opportunities to work with UNESCO and the organizations like outside of UCL. So just basically, when you are enrolled, it will be very kind of obvious, and you'll be kind of put on these schemes very naturally by us.
Thank you, Hannah. I'm now going to ask some questions of our panel about the TARA test. So I'm going to ask if Hannah can come back online and tell us a little bit more about that. But before I pick on you for that, could I please first ask our students, there's a really nice question about what they think they put into their personal statement that made UCL make them an offer.
I can
Ibrahim,
jump on that.
Go Eddies, thank you.
Of course, I don't know for sure why they picked me, but I believe UCL is a pretty social school, and when I ask around, you can kind of tell. And I worked on a project in my final year of high school, where I volunteered to develop a program for a charity, a therapy center. And I like to think that made a lot of difference. I explained how I dealt with the client and their requirements, and what I did for them, how it helped them, and really my thought process. I really focused heavily on my personal statement in that. And it is pretty much very similar to what we did in our second year in the systems engineering project. So I like to think that's kind of something that you can do to set yourself apart, kind of show you're already thinking about doing the stuff you would be doing in university. Ibrahim, would you like to comment on what you
Sure.
worked on?
Yeah, I think it's going to link to, because Professor Ivana gave us a very nice, in the first week, lecture on her philosophy of life, and I think it reflects what UCL might be looking for here. They want to see that passion of computer science, but also from a well-rounded perspective. So you're working with people in your community, or you just had an idea to help somebody, or you were looking into a book and that led you to a project or a research interest or something like that. Yeah, I think an example could be one of the books I talked about was Machines That Think. Some competitions I went to with a friend of mine for like programming, hackathons, that kind of thing. And I think, just kind of clubs, societies, projects, anything that you might want to talk about, that kind of thing.
Thank you, that's great. Hannah, would you have anything to add about that? There's a question in here about what in the admissions office you look at most favourably.
I'm not sure if I have anything more to add than what I've already said. It's like to do with the personal statement, but it's more just make sure you write about why, don't just list what. I think it's the development of your passion that is what makes you stand out as an applicant, rather than just listing lots and lots of awards and things like that. It's one really detailed example will be better than 4 very vague, kind of shallow answers, I suppose.
Thank you. Hannah, can I stick with you for a few more questions? How does admissions view GCSE grades? For example, getting an 8 instead of a 9 in maths, is that seen as a particular disadvantage?
No, we don't look at GCSEs at all in that aspect. The only thing we require is for UK students who have studied a full suite of GCSEs, which we class as 8 or more. They just need to have a grade 4 or C in maths and English language. So all the others, so long as you've got that grade 4 in both of those and that kind of that UK full suite of GCSEs is you. That's all we need, and you won't be at an advantage or disadvantage for having more than that.
Thank you. And then could I ask you to tell us a little bit more about the TARA test? So this is the admissions test for getting onto computer science, as well as your UCAS form. Can you tell us a bit more about what the test involves? When is it done? Is there any sort of training support for it?
So at the moment, my knowledge is also very limited because I'm waiting on the website to be updated, which it said it was going to be at the end of April. We have chased them, but as far as I'm aware, there will be 2 sittings, one in October to meet the Oxbridge deadline, and then one in January. I think, or I've been advised that it's more similar to like the LNAT that law students take, or the thinking skills assessment that Oxford and other programs within UCL used to take. So it's more to do with critical thinking and problem solving, that kind of comprehension side, rather than subject knowledge. There will be sample papers and things online when they do it. But that's really as much as I know at the moment, I'm afraid.
That's really helpful. Thank you. I'm now going to jump to what the workload is like in the first year. So I'm going to come to our students for this. So the question that's been posted is the workload particularly intense in the first year? How often would we be set assignments or extended work?
I can go with my experience. There are exams, there are courseworks, and from a high level, the modules are kind of half and half with that kind of thing, where you'll be doing programming, you'll be doing professional skills, oral presentations, courseworks, which will take you a little bit of time, but you will also have exams to prepare for at the end of the whole thing. And in terms of managing it, yeah, there's going to be, I think if there's anything that pushes you, that's a good thing. And there will be low points, and then you will bounce back from, and then be able to do the next coursework way better. I had a few moments where I was like, wow, that didn't go great, because of this, because of that kind of thing. And then there is support for it as well. We have every week programming tutors. So, you can go to them with questions, that kind of thing, and they can help you out. And this might not be as relevant, but I was a programming tutor this year to help some first years. And 2 of my students, they were like, we don't know any of the programming. We didn't do any of this. What is C, that kind of thing. And they were worried. They were like, what are we supposed to do? And now I've met up with them for the final time. And I'm like, whoa, you know more about me at this point. Because the promise of first year is that everybody gets up to the same speed by the end of it in terms of programming knowledge, that kind of thing. I think it did go through. So, yeah.
I think I had a similar experience. The workload is just manageable, plainly. And UCL is always keeping track of when the courseworks are due. For example, last month, I had one of the modules out of the coursework, but there's a lot of coursework congestion around that period because of the systems engineering projects. So without us even asking, the professor gave us a week extension to everyone, just because the UCL assessment department saw there's a lot of assignments being turned in there. So they do like to give you a bit more time, and they do try to make it more manageable.
Thank you both, that's great. Sticking with programming in particular, Ivana, can you tell us a little bit more about what students typically come into the program, what experience they come with, and how we support them to up that, which Ibrahim has alluded to?
So students come into our department with a range of different kind of previous programming experiences. This could range really from students who have previously developed like systems and, maybe participated hackathons, to also to students who didn't really have any programming experience and, they just simply didn't have an opportunity to do that in school. So in order to kind of like address this difference, so in our first year, we have this commitment to by the end of the first year, have all the students who come into the year kind of finish with the relatively similar levels of programming expertise. And to do that, we have created a scheme called Programming Tutor Scheme. And this scheme is actually organized by us and the students themselves. So it's the senior students, like Ibrahim, for example, who was one of our brilliant programming tutors. Senior students tutor the junior students that are at year one. So the tutorials are very small, maybe up to 10 students. And each team will have their own programming tutor. And then they'll be seeing them weekly and supporting them both with knowledge that supports kind of other kind of academic-led modules in programming and algorithms and software engineering, but also with any other questions and simple exercises the students can do to kind of make up and kind of create better programming experience. So it's a really brilliant scheme. It's very successful and loved by our students. And we have lots of data showing that it's really working. So really, yeah.
Thank you, Ivana. I'm just skipping through the questions and trying to find the one that I was just about to ask. I think this is a question from Manoush, Manoush is our program director for our MEng in Maths and Computer Science. And Manoush, the question is, to what extent is the maths in the computer science and maths MEng, the maths behind computing as opposed to maths itself? And could you give some examples on the maths in computer science?
So we've got, thank you for the question. It's a very good question. We've got two different sets of kind of math modules. So there is one which is about theory of computing. So there's a bunch of modules on that. Then there's a second set that these are the courses that come from the math department. So about the latter, you can take algebra courses, so algebra 1, algebra 2, advanced algebra, rings and modules, Galois theory, non-commutative algebra. This is really lovely. I love it. And then you can take a series of analysis courses. Mathematics department is also very good in applied math. So they've got a nice set of financial mathematics courses. And they've also got courses, for example, applications of math in relativity theory and such advanced things. It's really fascinating. But on the theory of computing courses, so we've got, we've got discrete mathematics, we've got beginner, intermediate, and advanced math. And these will teach you elementary set theory, functions, cardinality of sets, diagonalization. Then you'll learn some linear algebra, basics of multilinear algebra. You'll learn about foundations of statistics and probability theory. And then basically you learn the kind of mathematics that would make you very hands-on with neural network machine learning architectures that are going around. So you would be at ease working with conditional probabilities, and then also differentiating over various different functions. But also, we've got theory of computing courses. So you learn to, obviously, that you learn to how to calculate the complexity of an algorithm, the big O notation. Then you, taking that a step forwards, you learn about MP complete problems, which are very important. So these are problems that are hard. And it turns out you can't have very many of them. In fact, if there's a new MP complete algorithm that shows up in the horizon, people will try to show that it's isomorphic to one of the existing ones. It should be more or less. And then you take it from there. We've got a logic course. This year, we've introduced 2 more courses. The one's a co-algebra course, so this is abstract algebra, and then another one is on emerging topics in math and computer science, which I will be teaching.
Thank you, Manoush. That's brilliant. Can I ask Igor and Ivana, who are also our program directors, to talk about the differences on the computing courses? So I'm going to bring in Igor as well for robotics and AI, but Ivana, perhaps we could start with you. Could you please talk about the differences on the computing courses, e.g. in terms of both content, assessments and competition?
You mean the difference between the BSc in computer science versus MEng and versus math comp and versus robotics? Is that?
Yes, please.
So first there is within a computer science, we offer BSc and MEng. And so the difference between these two is that MEng, so the first 2 years, the BSc and MEng are identical. And then from the third year, those who do BSc, that's their final year. So in the third year, they will usually have maybe, they will have the final year project, and they will have optional courses and maybe just one core course. But that's the year, the final year is usually the time when you do the final year project plus optional courses. So for the MEng, the third year still will have a lot of kind of core courses, a few optionals, but then the final year project and the remaining optional courses will be at the fourth year. So the fourth year really is a little bit like a master's year. So if you know what you would like to specialize in and what you're interested in, you have access at the fourth year to any of our MSc courses. So if you're interested in, for example, machine learning or robotics or anything, any of the master courses that we offer, you can be selecting at year 4. So that's the kind of difference between the 3-year computer science and a 4-year computer science. Now, the difference between the computer science versus math comp is that math comp, like Manoj was saying, has much more maths in it. So it's both the quantity of maths, but also how advanced maths is. So on the normal computer science, we have one course in mathematics at year 1, and then we have advanced mathematics at year 2. But in math comp, you have many more different kinds of maths and much more advanced. And actually, they are taught by the maths department as well. So you can think about maths comp as almost like, overlap of mathematics department and computer science department. And Manoj can, say a bit more about that later. And actually, she was already mentioning some of the algebra courses and things like that. And then in terms of Igor's course, actually, I'm going to leave now to Igor to explain what is it like slightly different in robotics and what are the additional things that you guys do compared to just us, computer science.
Thanks so much, Ivana. I was thought you were going to step on my turf, and I was getting very jealous. But as you know, for the robotics and AI, we have 2 dedicated bespoke mathematics modules in year 1. So in term 1 and term 2, you have mathematics, and these modules have the trailer mathematics for robotics and AI in them, right? So what we do differently is all the topics we teach, they are reinforced, they are scaffolded, usually in the same term, but by other modules as well. So for instance, when when we teach linear algebra, matrices, then we discuss how this is used in computer vision, to program autonomous vehicles, how this is used to write, differential equations in the state space to solve, for structures and mechanisms and stuff like this. When we teach differential equations, we, show how this can be used to describe the, behavior of the robot or a motor or, an agent in free space. And then, so we have this, so we teach everything in-house. So it's the roboticists and the AI specialists who teach you maths, and we use the specialized, bespoke textbooks, right, that to reinforce this knowledge. So everything we teach is tailored towards mastering various aspects of robotics and AI. And then in later years, we have modules such as modeling and simulation. That's where we take these aspects even further to show how we can use these to model some more complex phenomena, from fleets of systems to NHS, to healthcare, to bionics, to legged robots, to more complex dynamic systems. And basically this permeates the program and goes all the way to year 4, where these complex so the concepts are developed even further.
Thank you, Igor. I'm just going to skip back to you, Ivana, because there's a really cool question. What's the difference in job opportunities for a graduate from the BSc compared to a graduate from the MEng in CS?
It's a very interesting question. So I think that for job, it's really to do, I think, with maturity. I think that would be the main kind of difference, and specialization. So I would expect that some jobs and or even like, for example, the research direction, if you want to do a PhD like later, do appreciate maturity and do appreciate kind kind of having that opportunity to kind of specialize in something before you take on the next kind of job. So this is where that 4th year can be really beneficial. I mean, that said, that maturity can also be achieved via just doing a separate master's course if wanted, that kind of specialization, or that, so somebody could just take on a 3-year BSc and then later on do a master's somewhere else, and even in a different university, to kind of get that kind of level of experience. From our experience, though, we also see that the 3-year program, the BScs, get jobs very, very easily after this degree, because the students are simply, throughout the whole degree, so often kind of confronted with solving real life problems, and so often connected with these companies, and they really start applying for internships and doing internships already from year 1 and 2. So every single student I know that is finishing, their 3rd year, has already lined up a job after that, because we are simply like an incubator for all these big kind of companies around us. It's an incubator of clever computer science students who know how to, and right now in the world, computer science is so wanted that either the 3-year course or 4-year course, both can really get jobs very, very easily. And it's just really that differentiation between, what is expected in a job that might mean that, some jobs are more appropriate for the others, just in terms of that specialization level that you get extra, or maturity.
Thanks, Ivana, that's great. I'm going to speed us up a bit. Nick, I'm going to come and jump to you about the practicalities of changing between undergraduate programs. So if you enroll on one, can you move to another? Can you talk us through that speedily, please? Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
Hello.
sorry, so basically, so once you enroll as a student, either into BSc or MH Computer Science, there is an opportunity in the first couple of weeks. I would recommend, if you do want to switch between BSc and MNG CS. If not, you can wait till your 2nd year, where I will be issuing guidance to all 2nd year students who want to switch between BSc and MNG. So into MNG 3rd year and BSc final year. The reason for that is because the program diets are different after the first 2 years, because they're the same for BSc CS and MNG CS. And just to let you know quickly, if you want to transfer to any of the other degrees that we offer, MNG Computer Mathematics or MNG Robotics and AI, please do email cs.undergraduate@ucl.ac.uk once you enroll as a student, so I can explain the guidance to you. Because if you want to transfer to those programs later on in your academic studies, you'll have to start from year 1 again. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. That's brilliant. I'm now going to ask our students a question about departmental building and facilities. I particularly want us to hear from our robotics and AI students who are now studying at our amazing new campus at UCL East. So perhaps Adiz and Ibrahim, if you could go first and talk about computer science, and then perhaps we'll go to Emily. Thank you.
You go, Adiz. You go, Adiz.
The facilities are pretty great. I won't expose my little nooks and crannies that I've found, but there are really nice, cute rooms that are for the computer science students. For example, the Mallet Place, which is our engineering building, the 4th floor, there's a room for computer science students. The 1st floor, there's, I think, 2 labs for computer science students. And all the libraries, of course. There's a lot of places to study, and the lecture halls are usually pretty big. There's one that I love. It is the one from the movie Inception. We actually have concurrency lectures there, and it feels pretty surreal when you're in the same room that you've seen in a movie. So the facilities are, I think, pretty great, and it's very just cozy all around.
Emily, could we hear from you about our new campus at UCL East?
Yes, so East is very, I'd say I really like it because there's a lot of natural lighting. There's a lot of windows everywhere, and especially in summer when there's a lot of sunlight, it's like there's sunshine comes through a lot, and there's lifts and escalators. And you've probably also seen from the website that there's the Earth, so we call her Gaia, hanging from the ceiling, and it's actually really nice in general. And I just like going there because the facilities, we have a lot of sofas and we have monitors that we can hook up our computers to if we want to do practice for presentations. And in general, there's a lot of community space that we can use for group projects, and it's just a good meetup point for everyone.
Thank you. Igor, is there anything you'd like to add about the new robotics facilities?
Yeah, just very briefly, you can see our beautiful East Campus behind Ibrahim, I believe. So he usurped the background. There it is. The two buildings, and yeah, obviously it's growing. It's just about 4,000 students, but it's going to grow. There's the first phase, and hopefully more things will come. And it's getting nice and busy with more and more student activities as well in clubs, and we are hosting more and more events here. Yeah,
Brilliant.
that's
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. Manoush, may I give you sort of 20, 30 seconds to talk about our Athena Swan Gold Award? There's a question about women in computer science, so I wanted to pull those out of the chat. There's a couple in there.
Oh, sure. Are you timing me?
No, sorry to put you on the spot.
So in the morning when you asked me, I just talked about the female versus male population in the department, but actually think about it, Athena Swan is just beyond female male. It's about diversity and representing all minorities, and this is what we strive to do at computer science. And so we are the only computer science in England that's got the Athena Swan Award. It means that we provide the best facilities for female and other minorities to sort of get into the program. So we've got mentorship programs that help people from different backgrounds. If they haven't had anybody that's gone to university before them, we help them with their applications to get into the university. Then when you get into university, as Ivana was saying before, we've got mentorship programs for everybody who wants to sort of help them with courses. And then later on, we've got many different forums. We've got the Athena Swan Circle. We've got various different other regular meetings where we bring the student together. I organize something, it's called London Hopper at the postgraduate level. We bring the female students together. And so we want to hear from them what can be the issues that they're facing on the ground. And then we help them address these issues as much as possible.
That's brilliant. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
yeah.
And
Maybe
I'm gonna
somebody can say about the hackathon. I see we've got Emily here. Did you go to our female hackathon recently?
No, unfortunately, I was busy with coursework, but yes, I have. We do have hackathons regularly, and our students, we do get emails like offering and telling us about the hackathons. And so it's just a matter of whether you have the time that weekend, and if you do, you just sign up and you show up. And you don't even actually need to have a team sometimes. I've showed up once just by myself, and they assigned me to a team on the spot, and everyone was really lovely. So yes.
Igor, you've got a hand up.
Just very quickly to add, it's something that we are seeing as the students-led hackathons as well. So we have our year ones organizing their own first time and UCL the hackathon that the other students can attend, and is just to encourage everyone to run more events like this, because we do have the funding in the department, and the programs do not only allow, we encourage those sorts of social and professional events throughout the campus.
So as just one last question that I can't resist posing to our head of department, I'll probably give you about 5 seconds, Danny, to answer. I love this question. Is a career in computer science secure?
Yeah, it absolutely is at the moment. I mean, don't get me wrong, things are going to change because AI is doing some incredible things, and I think some of the traditional skills that computer scientists have gone into the workplace with, AI will be able to do a lot of those things, but it is very far from doing all of the things that we train computer scientists to do. And just simply building those systems in the first place, I think, is a major endeavor for decades to come. So yeah, we are not about to be replaced by ourselves and by our own progeny, that's for sure.
Thank you so much to the panel and for all your brilliant questions. I'm now going to hand over to Kieran to just give you a few closing remarks, things to tell you about, and to close our session.
Thanks, Joe. Hi, everybody. My name is Kieran, and I work as the Student Recruitment Marketing Manager for UCL Computer Science. So big part of my job is to make sure that you as prospective students have all the information you need and organize events and other opportunities for you to connect with us. So I'm just going to signpost a few important things here. You've got QR codes which you can scan, or my colleague's going to be dropping the links into the chat, so keep an eye on that. So Danny already touched upon this at the beginning, but the 4 programs are covered in those videos. So if you haven't watched them beforehand, watch them now, because they're sort of an excellent complement to the Q&A session that we've done today. Next slide, please. And then I just wanted to signpost another event which is taking place at exactly the same time tomorrow, and it's run by the Department of Philosophy. We actually had a question in the chat about this. So for those of you that are interested in that intersection between philosophy and computer science, there's a bespoke event happening tomorrow, so you can register for that and ask questions to the experts. I'll also flag our in-person open days. So they're coming up at the end of June. The bookings will open in May, so you'll be able to register for these events. It takes place in our Bloomsbury campus, our central London campus, and it's a big event where you can come along and meet all of us in person, students and staff, get to see some demonstrations, attend program talks, subject talks, and it will really bring everything to life for you. And then if you do want to chat one-to-one with our students after today, we have a number of student ambassadors on UniBuddy, which is an application you can filter by the program that you're interested in and connect one-to-one with students, so they can kind of answer your questions in a more kind of informal way. And then I would say connect with us on social media. We post lots of important updates on there, lots of news. So LinkedIn and Instagram are the 2 main channels that we are using. And I just want to call out the Spotlight series that we're currently running. There was a really great profile from Edis, who's been on the webinar today. We put that one out on Thursday, and I've got another one coming out on Thursday from an undergraduate computer science student that I think will make a really interesting read, because he addresses this topic of not having any coding experience coming into his degree, but then actually finishing top of the class in a coding test. So it's kind of a really nice example of how students go from having 0 experience to being really, really successful. And then finally, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's session. We're always trying to improve what we can do for you. So if you have a moment, please do leave us some feedback so that we can improve our future events. But for those of you that are perhaps based in the UK or able to travel, we would love to see you in June. So keep an eye on the booking form for the Undergraduate Open Day. And I'll just take the chance to thank everybody on the panel, our wonderful host, Joe, and to all of you that stuck with us and gave us your questions today. It's been a really, really great discussion. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Bye.